Now, let's move on to combined virtual reality, CVR. And here I'd like to introduce Becky and invite her to give you a description of what CVR is, particularly as it was from an initial idea that Becky had almost 2 years ago, in fact over 2 years ago, that led to the creation of combined virtual reality. Becky.
So my experience of using virtual reality started with what was a clinical frustration, a niggle if you like, and that was with my liaison hat on. I found myself seeing a lot of delirium in the hospital, and my frustration was that despite mandatory training and PowerPoint presentations and everything that staff have to do, the kind of message about delirium just didn't seem to be getting through, and particularly the aspect of trying to get staff to really care about it and understand what delirium really is and what it might be like. So, following a conversation with Joe and the comms team, we came up with the idea of creating a virtual reality film. It's really short, it only lasts about 5 or so minutes, so it's super easy to get staff to use. And what's really unique, although we didn't realise it was unique at the time, is that when you wear the virtual reality headset and you watch the film, we set it up so that you become the patient. So literally in front of you is a hospital bed with a pair of legs, which is actually a pillow. And with the headset, you can look around the medical ward. Then what we did was take my knowledge of delirium and some real life patient stories about hallucinations or delusions that patients have told me about over the years, and then with some technical wizardry, which was nothing to do with me whatsoever, that again was our comms team, they then superimposed that onto the film. And so what you get is a true experience of what it could be like to experience an episode of delirium. We launched it on World Delirium Awareness Day a couple of years ago, and we took it around the wards in Royal Stoke, and the feedback we had was amazing, wasn't it? There were staff who literally said to us they've been working with patients with delirium for decades but had never truly appreciated what that experience might be like for that person in that hospital bed. So that's initially where we took it, and it's really taken off from there. So we've also partnered up with some colleagues in other countries. So for example, the film has now also been translated and is now being used in Denmark, which is fantastic.
And I understand we've also had interest from the Netherlands and from Germany as well.
Yep.
And it is just fantastic. So we are very proud. We're very proud of our first foray into virtual reality. But of course, that got us thinking about what else could we do with virtual reality. So CVR hasn't just stopped there. So one of the things which we're doing is we have now done virtual reality walkthroughs of all of our locations. Again, all of these are available for free on our website, and you don't need a virtual reality headset to look at them, or indeed to experience the VR delirium training. You can actually watch them just on a browser. They're all available. You won't get the full immersive experience, but you will still be able to see the material. So here, for example, we have what's called a doll's house of one of our locations, and what we're being told is that it is particularly beneficial to service users before they come in, or indeed their families, who might have lots of myths and misconceptions about what a modern mental health hospital looks like, and can be reassured when they can see the actual standards and quality of the facilities into which they or their loved ones are going. Of course, it's not just beneficial for service users, it's also beneficial for our staff. So here you can see Chloe. Now, Chloe was actually in this room, and here what you can see here is we put her own workplace up in front of her on the room. She couldn't believe when she put a virtual reality headset on. It was the first time she tried it. She says, I am literally standing in the place where I work. It's like I'm there. And now Chloe was very interesting. Chloe said, this will really help reduce DNAs, do not attends. She says, because if people can see the facility they're coming into and see that it's not frightening and see that it's welcoming, it might have a beneficial effect on DNAs. And that's something we want to look at, because of course, there's no point in just applying technology for the sake of it. It's got to really benefit our patients and our service users. And if it can actually help with our efficiency in reducing DNAs, that's absolutely fantastic. Now, also, CVR. We also produce films and testimonials from our own staff. So those of you who are around for the 75th anniversary of the NHS, we created a multimedia exhibition which we called Mental Health Reflections. It was over 40 films featuring our staff, some of them talking about their history of the NHS, some of them talking about what the present was like. We had a fantastic presentation for yourself, didn't we, Becky, reminiscing about the impact of the first few weeks of COVID, but also looking at their vision of an NHS of the future. And again, that was available in virtual reality, all of those formats, and you can go to www.combinednhs.uk/reflections. You can either download the book, or you can watch the film, or you can experience it in virtual reality. And that's another example of what we've been doing with CVR. And finally, there's a very interesting piece of pilot work that's going on at the moment at the Trust, looking at how potentially we could use virtual reality to help with staff wellbeing. This is about helping staff who've had to cope with a very stressful experience or a traumatic experience, and taking them out of that immediate environment and just sitting them down, putting a virtual reality headset on and giving them a very short, immersive, calming VR experience, no more than 5 minutes or so. And we've been trialling this, and this is we've been doing this in partnership. So this has been trialled at the moment, the first stage pilot, with our staff in PICU, our psychiatric intensive care unit. And thank you very much to all of our staff there who've been involved in that. And this was being done by Rob Silito within our team, but we've been working with Zilla Watson, fantastic visionary, who was formerly the head of virtual reality at the BBC. So we've had some real expert input into the design of this. Now, we've just finished the assessment of the first pilot, and the assessment of that first pilot said of the 32 staff that took part, 29% said it reduced their stress levels. And overall, they had a score that went down from 7 to 3 in the levels of stress they were experiencing. And Zilla tells us that that accords with other experiences they've done with similar pilots in other settings. So we're confident that it can have a benefit. And even of the 3 who didn't report a reduction, every single person said they would recommend that virtual experience to a friend. So we're just completing the analysis of the first phase of that, the first pilot phase, and then looking at how we might roll that out. So that's combined virtual reality.